Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2. If you remember, this wire here that feeds into the console was really long, and so this is all the excess that they just had bundled up, and that's going in the garbage. I've got this soldered. I got a little bit of slack left in there, and it plugs in right there. So I've got that unplugged, and we'll be able to take the seat and console and take it out of the way, put it out of the way. I unplugged the 3 servo wires so we could get those out of the way, and the sound module is double-sided taped on, so I'll break that loose, pull it out of the way, and then we'll just take this whole assembly and lift it up. And like I said in part 1, I think I'm just going to get rid of this fan, and I'll probably cut the aluminum bracket here and then on the other side. Alright, so we found the connection here, and we can just unplug that. Perfect. Alright, we'll see if we can get this hydraulic mounting plate lifted up and out of the way. So these are 2 millimeters. These short little guys. I suppose probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 millimeters long. And I'm hoping that there's just 4 of them. And that is the case. Sweet. If your 6015 has a master on-off switch, what you are going to have to do is come up with this, because this is your positive that connects inside here to your rocker switch, and this one's your negative. Both of them are coming from your power distribution bar down here, which you basically have no access to it. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this modification. But just a couple of male connectors crimped onto a XT60, and it's going to work great. I forgot to mention the reason why you need to make that. It's because you're going to have to turn the house, because all these cap screws that you see under there, they're holding that floor down, which we're gonna cut that sucker up. And to get to those way up inside there, grab a flashlight, you got to turn the house. I started pulling these cap screws out from underneath here that's holding this plate down. And one thing I want to point out to you is that if you don't have a small ratchet for hex Allens, you got to get one. Man, the smaller the better. They're an absolute time saver, and in some cases essential. And then you can get a set of metrics, and you'll be using them quite a bit. All right, here's where we're at. So I've had a change of heart on these 3 ESCs. On my brother's 6015, who's here with me today, we're working on this together. He had one of his ESCs go out and he's had to replace it. So I was going to just replace all 3 of them. And I've decided against that because I'm going to keep these. But part of this, part of the reason why we're doing all this is to relocate these from here up into the battery compartment. And there's plenty of room up there. The receiver is going to go up there. Sound module that's dangling here, that's going to be going up there. And so with these 3 ESCs, this one's the slew, and this one is the right ESC. This one's a left ESC, and you can see the signal lines are running down to the lines for the slip ring. And so to make this more accessible, here's the plate that I was telling you about. This sits in here just like this. And so we took that out. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this and this. When we're done, we'll have 2 halves. It's not going to be one piece. So when we cut this out, that's going to expose this race for the lines and give us more accessibility in the future when an ESC craps out on me. And you got to shine up here from that light. But we're going to cut this out, and we're going to cut from here over to here, and that'll open up this whole area. And one thing, if you choose to do this with yours, just be careful that your cuts don't include the cap screw holes for holding these components down. So we're not cutting any of the cap screws, and we've done this to my brother's and it works out just great. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get any of it. Alright, so we got this plate cut. You can see the cut lines along here, and really opens up where the ESCs are, which are going to be remounted inside the battery compartment. Gives almost full access to the electrical distribution bar, and got the servo block just floating right here. But right now we're going to raise the 6015 using the hoist and get access to the underside so we can get at that slip ring that I showed you earlier. Probably could have used Milwaukee on those. Yeah. Alright. So here's the slip ring I was mentioning. And we're going to remount that so that it's accessible without having to separate the tracks from the house, because right now that's the way it is, and that's such a pain in the ass. But there it is, and we got the new one waiting to be put in. Okay, and just to point out the cap screws that we're going to pull out to separate the house from the tracks.
Yeah, these guys.
Yeah.
Couple meter.
Yep. Point. All right, we just remembered that before we separate the tracks from the house, we got to unplug all the 3.5 bullet connectors from the ESCs to the slip ring. So we're going to do that now. All right, so this is a different setup than what my brother's 6015 has. His doesn't have, you know, these, causing that to go out of focus. He doesn't have these silver spacers. There's 3 of them there. So I'm going to have to finagle something. So in the meantime, I'm going to pull out, you know, these 2 cap screws, same as on that side. Pull these covers off and disconnect the bullet connectors going to the motors. I pulled the ESC out, and I've got the new one right here in the box. That's going to go in, tie in on the power distribution bar, and still got to clean this out a little bit, but it'll be nice to get an updated quality ESC mounted inside. So here's the other thing that I've been working on, and I'm just about at the end of it. This is the slew ring mechanism. And here's a great big one that I guess the manufacturer is putting in the 6015s now. It looks like it's damn near double the size. This is the size that was going in the earlier models. And I really haven't had an issue with this ESC, this big one, but short of opening it up, while I've got all this disassembled, I'm going to replace that big one with this one. And the mounting screw pattern is different than the small flange. So what I ended up doing is I took a die grinder, and I've got that hogging bit to take down the collar right here, just about flush with the casing. And I did that on this slip ring. And so this is a piece of styrene. It's an 1/8 inch thick, and I just matched up the holes, drilled the holes in the styrene, and you can see on the other side that it's extending probably 7 millimeters from the top plate to the top right here, which is fine. It's not going to interfere with the slew gear. And I just used some button head cap screws to hold it down. And what I did, just to make sure I'm not going to have any problems, is I ran these screws through before putting this styrene plate on. And then I put 4 millimeter nuts and screwed them down, used Loctite, and then I put this new flange, which is glued with CA, to the body of the slip ring. And so I've got slip ring leads running up here to the track. I haven't done this one yet, but that's what I've done so far. And these leads, which go up to the ESC, the track ESC, they go through this hole that you can see right down here. You can see my fingers. So that's where they come up through. And then the leads come into this little track right here. And you can see these are the leads for the ESCs. But we're getting there.